What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Phil Sarpon. This is Phil's Guide to PsyD. If it's your first time here, welcome. This channel is dedicated to psychology, wellness, and graduate school. I am a clinical psychology doctoral student, and basically what I do on this channel is that I answer questions from you guys. So if you guys have any questions about clinical psychology, definitely put it down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. So today's question is going to be, Phil, I know you're in PsyD school, but why did you pick PsyD over the PhD? So the reason that I decided to go into a PsyD program was mainly because I wanted to do clinical practice. Now, I know that there are PhD programs that do their own clinical practice, but I primarily wanted to focus on clinical practice, things like therapy or things like psychological assessments. I didn't mind the research side of things, but I definitely knew that I didn't want to do research for the rest of my life. I knew that I didn't want to be in academia for the rest of my life. I knew that primarily I wanted to go into clinical practice. So that's a huge reason that I picked the PsyD over the PhD. The other thing that I liked about the PsyD was that it was a little bit shorter than a lot of the other PhD programs. And honestly, it was a little bit easier in terms of the application process. And I knew that most PsyD programs, they do take on bigger cohort sizes, which means that it's a little bit easier to get accepted into those programs. Also, with the PhD side of things, there wasn't a whole bunch of professors or faculty members that I was interested in terms of working with them on their research and being in their research labs. So those are just a couple reasons why I chose the PsyD. I do obviously have a huge bias towards the PsyD. I think PsyD school is great in terms of clinical practice. I think in terms of research, even in my program, research is actually really important and a huge factor. And we've learned a ton in terms of our research courses. But the faculty understand that most of us don't necessarily want to go just into academia or just into research. They understand that. So they always have a little bit of a twist when it comes to using research for your clinical work and for your clinical practice. And so I love how that method is taught in the school. So I think if you are trying to figure out whether PsyD or PhD schools are right for you, definitely look at the pros and cons. I've done previous videos about this topic. It is a very prevalent topic. It's a very important decision when you look at the cost, or you look at the time, or you look at the location or the setting of how you want to do either your clinical work in clinical psychology or you want to do your research work in clinical psychology. So there's a lot of different factors, and honestly, it really does depend on the individual, all right? So, but that is just a basic overview of why I chose the PsyD. I loved how it was a little bit shorter than the PhD program. I loved that it was more focused on clinical practice. And after understanding the model of PsyD schools, I felt like in terms of the way that I learn, the way that I take in information, I felt like it was gonna be more conducive to my learning style and just my overall enjoyable experience of clinical psychology. All right, so if there are any students right now that are in PsyD schools or even PhD programs, definitely put it down in the comment section below why you chose the school that you chose, whether it was a PsyD, whether it was a PhD. I'm sure the community would really appreciate having just a plethora of different unique experiences of why students chose what they chose. And if you have not already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.